And a very pleasant good afternoon, albeit a couple of minutes late. My bad on that. We welcome you into the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. We are at Quaker Steak and Lube, our favorite place to be, not just on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, as we are wont to do here from 2 to 4. But also just about any time there is a sporting event going on. And actually, even if there is no said sporting event going on, great food, great beverages, outstanding service here at Quaker Steak and Lube. And yeah, they do have the TVs all over the place, and you can sit back and really enjoy the basketball games, NHL games, baseball, football, whatever it may be. I understand it's a pretty big football game coming up a week from Sunday. I think they'll have that game. My understanding is right here on these TVs here at Quaker Steak and Lube. So you can check all of that out. And again, we are eternally grateful to Mr. Powers and everybody here at the Lube for allowing us to bring our program here every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon. All right, lots to get into. We have a big couple of nights coming up in Penn State sports. Of course, we have the basketball team tonight in the return to rec game, and then we have the wrestling team and the, hey, let's go over to the Jordan Center match. Well, first of two scheduled matches, and it'll be the second and third meets, as it turns out, over at the BJC this year for the Penn State Wrestling squad. And we'll talk a lot about both of those events coming up. Penn State football, Goon, again, we talked about the excitement and the anticipation, and it is kind of fun because we are now in an era where there really is, and I understand for those involved, there's never been an off season for college football, but more so now than ever, there is truly no off season. I mean, there is news being made. There are things being worked on constantly, including your roster, trying to make sure you're keeping the guys that you want here, trying to make sure that, you know,
just imagine.
You're
recruiting new players. They're on their official visits probably this weekend. Guys are coming in. You have your transfer portal guys coming in for visits. And now you're still trying to maintain your guys getting off the new semester. Some guys are just starting their college career fresh right now.
Yeah,
they're in their second week of class. They're in the weight room now. I don't think they're doing any kind of conditioning as a team as of yet, but they're definitely in the weight room. You're right. It does not stop.
Yeah,
it does not stop, will not stop. I mean, it's crazy. Everything about it. I mean, it's like I'm watching, obviously the big thing on ESPN this week, it's the Senior Bowl. And I'm sitting there saying, dude, there was guys playing last week, college football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, are you really giving these guys, I mean, there's no Ohio State or the Penn State guys even declined to go, I think. King didn't go to he declined his invite this week because he was, he had a game 20 days ago. He's still beat up and sore trying to get ready for the combine. I mean, this was my issue I had with the Senior Bowl when I played. The Senior Bowl was on late January, and then I had the combine 3 weeks later. I mean, I had 3 weeks to train for the NFL combine, and now they've spaced away the combine a little later, and now it's in later March. But they got to fix all these games. I mean, the calendar. Let's get back to that. You know what I mean? The collegiate calendar. I mean, we had a game January 20th, and now, 10 days later, we have the Senior Bowl. It's the last game and all that stuff. And that's a lot of games, man.
Yeah, I would like to see them. And I don't know if I think it'll happen. I think it'll happen. But I've heard a lot of folks making the argument for why the conference championships won't go away. I still, at the end of the day, I think the revenue that can be, the additional revenue that can be generated from the 16-team format, more than offsets, or potentially can more than offset the conference championship games and the revenue generated there. And I just think to me, it makes so much more sense to have the 16-team format, and instead of have the regular season end, I'm okay then having the Army-Navy game to itself that following weekend. So you have 2 weeks between the end of the regular season and the start of the playoffs. I think if you go to the 16 teams and you take away any issues with time off versus not time off, with we get a home game, we don't get a home game. Nope, top 8 seeds all get home games. I'm pretty open to the idea of the higher seeds getting home games for each of the first 2 rounds, so that through the quarterfinals you have games on campus sites. I think there's a pretty compelling argument to be made for that. And I think if you go to and then you just do it successive weeks, you don't have the time offs. Now, I would advocate, I get the NFL schedule comes into play here. Man, if it was up to me, all these games would be Saturdays. And I understand if you go to the 16-team format, well, then you're going to have a couple of games going on at the same time. Yep. We're pretty adept at flipping around and figuring out what we want to watch. That would be my preference. That I don't think I'm going to get. I think we'll have Friday, Saturday games, whatever.
Saturday. That's fine. 1 Friday, 3 Saturday. That's good to go. I
enjoyed
that.
Yeah, this would be 8 games though. So now you got to reformulate that.
I mean, it's after the season, so we're not having. If you're saying we're going to get rid of the conference title games, everybody will have a 2-week window. I guess, yeah, because they would, or you want to play.
Correct.
Okay.
Everybody would have the 2 weeks from the end of the regular season to the playoffs. Everybody, and then you just boom, boom, boom. You get 4 successive weekends.
The issue I'm going to say is the 16 games that we played this year as Penn State, Ohio State, Notre Dame, they did well. Texas played that many games also. There was big time in between games. You know what I mean? So,
yep.
I mean, that was really, I think, a big thing that, there was some time to recover for some players and your team. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we could change about it. I'm just the fact that we're talking about it is fantastic. I mean, the fact that it's actually out there.
Yep.
So I did want to say about that, the playoffs, did you see the fiscal calendar from last season came out, and we operated at a positive for the football and stuff like that. And the athletic department made money and all that. Yeah. But that, I was like sitting there and I was like, well, wait a minute, we played 8 home games. I mean, that's the reason why. And then I read the article, and the article actually did say it was last season. So it was the fiscal period ending this past June.
Correct.
So I am interested to see what Penn State makes next year at this time when those numbers come out with that extra home game against SMU, which is a huge boost to the local economy, to the university, to everything.
Yes, you need to remember the additional expenses now, too, which are through the roof compared to a year ago.
You're talking about
salaries. Well, and then, I mean, moving forward in the upcoming fiscal year, even more so when you're looking at player payments. But the personnel, the amount of personnel that is being paid has gone up. So again, I think they'll still be in the plus.
I would like to see financially how much money was made that weekend. I mean, they say what, $7 to $10 million in a regular home football weekend.
SMU weekend.
I would think more than that because we did charge much more for parking. And I'm talking about not just the Penn State. I'm talking about the local economy. I mean, that was
local economy. I would think would be pretty substantive. Yep.
And then we got the parking lot sales. You didn't get the ticket sales. I know that. But we got the parking sales and the concession sales during the game and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's where the profit's going to come in next year. I want to see what would have made, because I know that the town made money. I mean, I talked to many bar owners in this town, and and you can hear them, and they were like, "Oh, it was like a Christmas gift, pretty much."
Yeah.
Having that game December 21st, and it was, I guess it was graduation weekend anyway, but you're not going to have a home football crowd for graduation weekend. I mean, that was some big time money that was being spent up here that weekend. Because I know I was part of it.
Yeah, a couple of dollars I think flowed through. That's pretty safe to say. Yeah, and listen, I think I think Penn State is obviously very well positioned, both financially and just from a competitive standpoint here for the upcoming year. But I think it's a big but. We still have a lot of moving parts here, not just Penn State. And I think folks feel like they're starting to get a handle on, all right, this is where we're at. We don't know still. And I know I keep harping on this, but I think it is significant that we don't know where this thing actually is heading to in terms of the money involved and how that is going to be distributed, who all gets the most benefit from it, who gets the least benefit from it. I mean, I don't know. I think this is going to be a very interesting year, not just for Penn State, but across the board in college athletics, in terms of seeing how some things actually start to shake out. And even, I think the playoffs are going to be pretty much exactly the same next year as they were this year. That following year, though, and those plans will be put in place here in the upcoming year, I think that becomes a really fascinating storyline to follow as well. Do we go to 14 teams? Do we go to 16? Is it just the committee ranks the top 8 teams and those are the top 8 that get home games? How many conference champions are guaranteed a spot if we do go 16 teams, which I think we will? If that is the case, how many conferences receive automatic bids to at least get teams in? Do we acquiesce? We being college football, do the powers that be in college football acquiesce? And 4 automatic Big Ten teams are in. 4 automatic SEC teams are in, which is a big push right now from those conferences. We'll see. We'll see how this all plays out. There is a lot to be sorted through. There is a lot of power plays that are still going to be made here, and we'll see how it all shakes out.
I like Alabama. I've always liked Alabama. They're my number 2. But watching their heads spin and blow up over this still, like, dude, you lost 3 games, man, to bad opponents.
2 of them to
yes.
Like,
and I was just like, you want to complain?
Fairly embarrassing
go complain
losses.
To your coach for losing to Vanderbilt. And again, I love Alabama. I love their fans. I love their passion. But it's just funny because you know what? I got to tell you this, Ironhead. I'm down in Harrisburg for some business yesterday, having a few drinks with dinner with a bunch of guys, Penn State people, Notre Dame people, all these, a lot of different people. And we were talking, and I brought up if you're the number 1 team in your country, you could pick the route you want to go. If you want to get that bye week in there, or you want to rep the home game and all this. And it was a different conversation for like 10 or 15 minutes. And they're like, there's no way that can happen. I'm like, it's hypothetical. It is just a talking point that Ironhead brought up, and I gave you full credit for it, by the way. And I was like, some teams, who are hurting and banged up are going to want to have that bye week. But some teams are going to if I was Penn State, like this time, I thought we didn't want to take any time off. I thought we just wanted to get back in the saddle and start rolling again, And then we started talking the way our team is going to be built this year, and I think that's going to be a bunch of road graders and a strong, powerful run game.
Yeah,
you can just wear teams out that way, and you want to be playing every weekend. You don't want them having 2 weeks off. Get out and get beat up, and continue on, man.
Yeah, and I also think you want that rhythm within your offense, within the passing game.
I completely agree.
And watching Patrick Mahomes and the way they get him going, I know, but the offensive game plan there, like that, if Penn State can get that going with Drew Aller and whatever the receiving core looks like, and hopefully we get some more names there. Yep.
You bring up an absolutely great point, which got brought up yesterday in our conversations. You got to look at the halftime stats and say, dude, we don't have a receiver catch. How about the first play of the second half running a screen? Get them involved a little bit. I mean, that was a big thing that we were talking about yesterday. And again, a lot of Penn State guys, but and then you got to look at the stats at halftime and say, damn, we don't have one freaking pass to a receiver right now. We got to change that. Let's go out there and run. And like you were saying, the way they get Mahomes into that game is they throw a couple light screens to the running backs or the wide receivers, couple bubbles, get 4 or 5 yards out of it. It's just as good as a run. But guess what? He's right there. He's in the game now already, Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what we were talking about yesterday. Yeah. Why do we not try that? Throw a bubble screen, throw a shuffle pass, something, get these guys involved in the game. Because we were talking about next year's offense and, how good the offensive line is going to be, the tight end. Yeah, obviously you're going to lose Tyler Warren, but you also have a pretty deep tight end room. The only difference is going to be the wide receivers, which were not apparent this year, so it's going to be an upgrade. And then we started talking about, why would we not just try? And one of the guys who was there with me was a former wide receiver. Like, get these guys, get them in the game a little bit, not just Mahomes or Drew Aller. Get the receivers into the game a little bit too. I mean, you know enough football. You get that first hit, boom, you're in that game. You're ready to go now.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Just get a quick hitter, just a little slant.
Yep. The bubble screen, just throw it out there. Get it out there.
Yeah, something to get just a little kickstart in that particular element. I'm with you again.
See, I also think this. We're talking about the Chiefs and Mahomes.
Yep.
I think that Andy Reid learned a lot from Donovan McNabb that he wished he had done with Donovan McNabb. That Mahomes, he learned a lot of lessons with Donovan McNabb. And God bless him. I love Andy Reid. I love Andy Reid's time in Philadelphia. I love Andy Reid in Kansas City. I'm happy for him. But my thing with Donovan McNabb, and this goes back 15 years, obviously. That first couple plays of the game, you saw where his first pass went, and a lot of times, sometimes it was in like the dirt right at the receiver's feet, and I said, he's going to have an off game. But if that first pass that he throws and he's on time and on target, it's amazing how good he was the rest of the day. But get him into the game, get their feet wet, get a hit at him, get a completion. So
try to get that rhythm going right away. Get a little confidence built, get everybody feeling like, all right, here we go. And again, it's not always going to work, and listen, the decision making and the legs of Patrick Mahomes also, I mean, it's a little easier to get that guy in rhythm and get him back in rhythm, even if he starts off not sharp, because the decision making there is pretty spectacular at the end of the day.
And we'll get into the Super Bowl next week, but I don't know what he has, but he has it. He understands the field. Like he understands when he steps up and there's a guy who's mirroring him as a lineman, but if that guy goes away, he's gone. He has such a good feel for where he is on the field at times.
They also, though, do an exceptional job in the game planning of using the entire field, of making you on the defense cover all of these different elements. And when you do that, there's going to be an opening somewhere. Like now, whether or not you see it and you deliver it, but there is always on every play, somebody's going to have a little separation here, like a defense. And again, the way the rules are set up, if you have a really sharp quarterback and you have receivers who can catch the ball, that is the advantage every single play. With the way the rules are now, you can play defense perfectly, and if the offense is playing perfectly, they win. They win every time if it's an even battle. And so just the nature of football.
Tony Romo said something during that game this past Sunday, and I have waned on Tony Romo a little bit, but he has really picked his game up this past year. He really has, because his first couple of years he was an absolute stud, and then he regressed a little bit, and it was annoying to listen to. But I think he's gotten back on the ball a lot of it actually. He was calling that game out pretty well the other day, but he made mention in the first quarter about Andy Reid and how he coaches. He goes in there with a defensive mind for his game plan and says, what are they going to try to do to us? And then he game plans around that.
Yeah.
That's pretty unbelievable.
And does it at a very high level.
Thinking, man.
Yeah, and again, I mean, it helps when you have that marriage of quarterback, coach, system, and, everything else kind of clicks into place there for the Chiefs. I do think this upcoming season, again, for Penn State is expectations are going to be through the roof, and I think that's not a bad thing. I think both James Franklin and Drew Aller, and they are definitely, we talk about that coach-quarterback relationship all the time. This is a truly huge season for both of them, and I think they both will embrace it and approach it with a little chip on their shoulder, which I think is healthy and is the way they should approach it. And hopefully they both are embracing the pressure that comes with it. It's like, this is why, if you're Drew Aller, this is why I'm coming back. This is why I've worked so hard for all of these years is, I want the opportunity to go out and be the reason we win a national title. Like that has to be the approach you're taking. James Franklin, it's like, all the trials and tribulations and all of the big game James stuff, fine. I embrace it all, and here we go. I'm going to show you in the big moments this year on the biggest stage in the biggest season now to date. Yep, we are good. We are ready to go. I brought in the right coaches around me. Not just the coordinators. I think that staff as a whole, I put it up there with any staff in the country now. But, and I keep throwing out this caution, again, Oregon, there is a sense of urgency there, maybe only matched by Penn State right now, and feeling like, man, we have to get through now. Like we're not building for if we don't get it this year, let's wait another. Like Oregon, they were certainly all in this past year. I think, again, all the chips in the table there. I think Texas has that same feel to it right now. Now, maybe to a little lesser degree, Michigan and Ohio State, I mean, they want to win every year as well because they each are coming off national titles now in the last 2 years. I don't know, which isn't to say they won't win the national title. It's not to say they don't have within the locker room, hey, we want to go win another one and we want to do it now. I just think the overall feel is not the same sense that a Texas or an Oregon or a Penn State have right now, where it's like, man, this feels like this is our opportunity. We need to cash in now.
Not to keep bringing Alabama up, but they're on the field like, we got to get back in there.
Well, I'll tell you, two of the teams. So those teams that I just mentioned, Texas, Oregon, and Penn State, are going to be fascinating storylines to watch this season because there is such a feeling, I think, of urgency within the fan base, within the coaching staffs, within the locker rooms that, man, we have to do this now. So I think they're going to be big time storylines. Can Ohio State sustain? Can they come back and repeat? And I think they'll have a chance. I mean, they are reloading. They lost a ton. I think we're hearing some stories about maybe everything wasn't as rosy as you'd be led to believe when you to win a national title in terms of maybe some egos and management of it. But what they did was, I mean, obviously you can't take that away. It's remarkable. But sustaining that now at that level, we'll see. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think it's probably pretty unlikely given the amount of talent they lost, we might have a second coaching defection, depending on whom you believe right now with Chip Kelly. And so, again, we'll see how all of that plays out here.
I wasn't watching that.
In the offseason. He may be heading out. Michigan went big time after its quarterback got him. I think this is I don't know if it's the pivotal year for Sherrone Moore, but I think in Ann Arbor, expectations are going to be very high for the upcoming season. But the two teams that I think, outside of those that, all right, we're making a push for a national title, Clemson and Alabama, where I think both of those programs now, there is a lot of pressure on DeBoer and that Alabama program to at least get back into the playoffs here, and to leave no doubt about it. And Clemson, they obviously are still up there, but I mean they were unquestionably elite there for several years. Now it feels like they've slipped into that next tier, which, by the way, not a bad place to be. Pretty good spot. One of the top 12 programs, somewhere in that 6 to 12 range. Not a bad place to be, but not where Clemson was used to being and not where they want to be. I think this is an interesting season coming up just to get a sense for where that program is. And listen, there's a bunch of other, Texas A&M, Florida State, Florida, Miami, North Carolina is going to be a fascinating storyline. Colorado is going to be a fascinating storyline. I mean, there are stories all over the place. USC, how do things start to shake out here for the Trojans in the upcoming season? Can Oklahoma make a move back up? In the SEC, where you have all of these other teams that we just mentioned also trying to move up or maintain their status. There's a lot of exciting things going on in college football. Indiana, I think, is going to be a fascinating watch in the Big Ten.
Real? Was it fake? Was it a fluke or?
Yeah, there. A lot of things to watch throughout college football, and even just in the Big Ten. I think there's.
You make a point, man. It's year-round now. I mean, the NFL is a year-round calendar right now. I mean, and then the college football is now taking that same kind of stance with it, with their the signing period, the recruiting, the transfer portal, the spring football. I mean, let's go back to again. What has changed again? Is spring football going to be normal time this year? I mean, you were playing January freaking 20th.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's a whole month later than you're normally done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I know they're not changing because, Penn State has not changed their blue-white day and all that, which is still, I believe, the 26th or 25th, 24th maybe of April. So, but is that going to be looked at? Are they going to try and change the springtime period? Because, in my opinion, college football teams were moving that up closer to January, February, because if somebody did get hurt, they had an outside chance of getting a couple extra weeks of rehab in there if somebody got hurt in the spring.
Yeah.
Now we're maybe push it back. Who knows?
Lots of moving parts, as we keep saying.
Again, we got to get it out of the way.
We'll take a
Pat Kraft's job or James Franklin's job.
Break here, and we are back with much more on a Thursday afternoon. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fall.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing and State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates, Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox, the Goon and Ironhead.
Oh, those guys. We are back here on a Thursday afternoon. Quaker Steak and Lube is where you'll find us, and on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox here in the State College area and throughout Center County and beyond. You can find us on the web at 987thefox.info, 987thefox.info, and we are there's a streaming button there, and you can stream the station 24/7 if you so choose.
I thought you were choosing.
Lots of excitement building on the high school sports front. We have basketball playoffs just around the corner. The wrestling team duels getting underway with the district tournaments this week. Penns Valley, Bald Eagle area, and State College all into the semifinals here on Saturday. State College in the AAA tournament will face Central Mountain Saturday at 12 noon. Bald Eagle area will face Bishop McCourt, the 3 seed in the District 6 AA tournament.
3 seed?
Yeah, on Saturday.
Is that the world ranking? Or
Penns Valley will take on Huntington in the other semifinal on Saturday. That action will get underway at 10 a.m. We'll have live coverage of the AA action for you here on Sports Radio 98.7 on Saturday. Again, starting at 10. They'll have the semifinals, the finals, and then very possibly we'll have a Penns Valley Bald Eagle area matchup for a true second to determine who the second team is going into the PIAA state team tournament. And again, that'll all be coming up here on Saturday. A couple of other things just to hit on here. Penn State men's basketball with just a critical game. I think this is as close to a must-win game in terms of NCAA tournament hopes as you could have at this stage of the season. Penn State taking on Ohio State, 6:30 tip-off at Rec Hall. Wear white, be loud, be proud, all of it.
Need that magic.
Big game for the Nittany Lions here. And really, they need to get on a roll here, Goon. They need to string 4 or 5 wins together, or at least 4 or 5 out of 6 here, and get that type of a roll going here into the postseason. We talked about it on Tuesday. It just has been tough on the injury front. Ace Baldwin clearly not 100%, but the hope is he can keep getting a little bit better. Yeah, they are. Rich checking in. Bishop McCord's not a 3 seed. They actually are 3 seed in the District 6 AA tournament. Yep, Penns Valley's the 1 seed. Bald Eagle Area's the 2 seed. And yeah, Bishop.
You got to explain that. I know what you're talking about, I think.
Yeah, well, it's just the seedings are based on regular season performance in the district. Okay. And so Penns Valley's 1, Bald Eagle Area 2, and Bishop McCord is the 3 seed. Bishop McCord, if you don't know, is ranked 2nd in the nation right now. I mean, it is a star-studded lineup, and obviously the difference between boundary schools, I guess is the terminology we're using these days, and non-boundary schools, i.e. those that can bring talent in from all over the place, and those that are working with the talent in the area.
How all over the place?
And they do need to separate that. Well, there's no limits. They need to separate that where you have boundary schools and non-boundary schools separated. You're not. It really is the equivalent of a Penn State playing, in Ithaca, a Division III program, and all right, let's go play for the football championship. Well, I mean, it makes no sense.
Preaching to the choir here, man. I mean, you know my feeling on the football thing. I mean, growing up and playing in the Philadelphia Catholic League in St. Joe's Prep and LaSalle, we don't have boundaries. Yeah. And then, you play. But I say this all the time. These are the rules. The rules are, they're not breaking any rules. It's not right. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
It's horribly wrong, actually, because it's like you could have some lifetime, like our friend Brad Jones. He lives out. He's from Black Hawk High School out in Aliquippa area, Beaver Falls, and they could have a lifetime, like a once in a generation class of like 6 guys that might go Division I, and they go up and play in the 6A title against St. Joe's Prep, who has 17 Division I players on it,
right? And
they get beat by 40. I mean, and you're like, how is that fair? It's not. But now see this. You've heard this argument from me many times, and that is that we're playing by the rules that we're under right now. So they're not breaking any rules. It's wrong. I get it, but also, when was everybody complaining? And I'm talking about football now. So, I mean, the fact that it's blood in the wrestling is going to happen. But no one complained when Erie Cathedral Prep and Pittsburgh Central Catholic were winning state titles. It was until the Philadelphia teams came in that everybody started B and C. And so that's just my 2 cents. So now, are the McCourt kids, Pennsylvania kids, local kids, are they bringing – because I know who was the one team, Blair Academy in New Jersey?
Yep.
They're a boarding school.
Yeah, prep school.
So they literally can bring anybody from anywhere in the country, and they can live there to go to school there. Now, what's McCourt doing? McCourt's in Johnstown, right?
Yeah, there's not limits there. That you can bring, you can pay and have your kid go there. And I mean, truthfully, anybody can go from, in theory, right? But the PIAA and the way they regulate this, which is another story for another program.
Precisely.
In terms of, all right, well, we think this kid moved only for athletic reasons. It's like, well, maybe so, but if the family has actually moved there, and I don't know, that to me has always seemed a little
Well, it's a Rob Gronkowski thing at Woodland Hills.
A little suspect at best that the PIAA has the authority that it does over a kid's eligibility, because it determines, the PIAA determines whether or not, well, if you're unhappy in a school district, and maybe athletics is part of it, and maybe the academic part is also part of it. Again, the family moves to another district. What business is it of the PIAA rather? It's very similar organizations. What business is it of the PIAA to determine, well, no, we think you moved here just for athletics, and so we won't permit you to
and your mom and dad
participate
and your brothers and sisters
in athletics here for a particular year. That just has always seemed way overreaching to me. Penn State hoops tonight. Again, very important game. The injury situation for Penn State has been tough, and not being able to close out close games. And I think they kind of go hand in hand. A healthy Ace Baldwin, Puff Johnson being in there. Those are difference makers. They just are, and probably over the course of a game, worth a couple of points here or there. Regardless, so the situation is what it is. It feels like this is still a doable thing, meaning the NCAA tournament for this team this year. But they lose this game tonight, Goon. I'm not sure it feels doable. I get mathematically it's still doable. This you have to use the rec hall energy, the crowd, all of that to kickstart this thing. And then again, you got to sustain it here for a couple of weeks and get something going.
Got to start somewhere, brother.
Against Ohio State, Goon, you got to keep Yannick out of. Well, Yannick has to keep himself out of foul trouble, and Penn State just has to take care of the basketball. That the frustrating thing against Michigan was just not being able to take care of the basketball the way that they had been, and not being able to pressure Michigan into the mistakes that Penn State has been forcing other teams into to this point in the season.
I just checked, so I know.
Yeah.
What do you think the line is?
For this one tonight, I would think Penn State by 3.
Yeah, 2.5. Penn State favored by 2.5.
Yeah, at home.
Is that because it's the rec hall, and that's because the rec hall magic name, the history they have there, you think? Or
also, it's not like they are very comparable teams. Penn State and Ohio State. I get Ohio State as a few more wins.
Michigan is much better than Ohio State.
Yeah, Ohio State has a few more wins than Penn State in conference play, but I also think the schedule has been a little more favorable to this point for Ohio State, and that's going to turn around here, I think, over the next couple of weeks. So, I got a neutral court. I would think this would be pretty much a toss-up game.
No.
And I think Penn State.
My Illinois guy called me today. He's like, they're playing in that stupid high school gymnasium, aren't they? I said, yes, they are.
Yeah, Penn State at home and getting the extra boost from the whiteout crowd at Rec Hall. Probably worth at least a bucket over the course of the night. So
they're a completely even match team because 3 points for the home team, pretty much. But the home team is actually it's also a. Would you consider this a non-home game?
No, this is a home. This is a big time home.
No, I'm saying
for Penn State,
where it's being held.
Yeah, I think it's an even bigger home.
I agree, because I went last year, and that was absolutely amazing. Just the atmosphere that was going on in there. And I hope that is matched tonight. I really, truly do. There's a lot of buzz going on for this whole weekend coming up around here in State College. It's almost like a football buzz. It's an honest question for you. How many Iowa fans do you think will travel here? Because there's Iowa fans a lot in Western Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, in terms of from Iowa, not many, but yes, are there fans fans of Iowa wrestling in particular here in Pennsylvania? For sure, and will a good number of them make the trip in. But no, it's not going to be you're not going to have like a ton of Iowa fans. They'll be represented, and there will be some that make the trip in. Again, they're a fanatic fan base, and that's good for the sport. But it's going to be obviously overwhelmingly
any update of
a pro Penn State crowd.
Who's Jirachi's going to be wrestling? We won't know that till Saturday or Friday night.
Yeah, they won't. We may not know. We'll know whether or not they brought Ferrari and whether or not they weigh him in by tomorrow. But yeah, we won't. Well, I guess we'll know if they didn't bring him, that he's probably pretty good side. He's not wrestling, and certainly if they don't weigh him in. I would think at this point, just because of all of even if they have no intention and we're never even thinking about it, I would think at this point, all right, let's bring Ferrari along, weigh him in, and just keep people guessing would be my thinking if I was, in the Iowa shoes and Todd Brands. But we'll see. I think, really, to me, I think the more compelling storyline is whether Drake Ayala is able to go here tomorrow night or not at 1:33, because to whatever degree, and I'm reading it's all over the place as to, hey, does Iowa have any chance? Is there? I think the overwhelming majority of folks can agree if Ayala does not wrestle, there is very, very little. I'll never say never, but there is very, very little chance Iowa wins the dual meet. Pretty much any path for an Iowa victory includes a win at 133 with Ayala getting the Hawkeyes off to a good win early in the duel. And that's presuming, and I am presuming, that we'll start at 125. That's generally the desire of both Tom Brands and Cale Sanderson. Although nothing guaranteed, maybe they just to keep it everybody on their toes, they throw it into the hat tomorrow night. But I'm expecting that we'll start at 125 and just go through to heavyweight.
You want to go through the matches?
We can do that. It's I think when you look at it, Penn State right now, again, has a chance to, when this season is over, I think have definitively and without really any real debate, have this team go down as the greatest in college wrestling history. Now, for that to be the case, they need to get 10 All-Americans and probably need to get 6 in the finals and 5 champions. I think if they do all of that and set the scoring record, which they would do if they did all of the aforementioned, then pretty hard to argue that this wouldn't be the greatest team. Now, that also obviously presumes victories in all of the remaining dual meets, starting with tonight's against Iowa. But so you start there. Again, is there a path to victory for Iowa? I suppose. I think it's a very unlikely scenario. But I think there's a lot of great bouts. And I think from a wrestling fan perspective, to me, it's more about kind of the individual matchups that it's like, man, yeah, I really want to see that. And hopefully Drake Ayala does wrestle, because I just think, again, it's a good opportunity for Braden Davis to get that feel under his belt, regardless of the outcome. And I certainly think Davis has a chance to win that one. But I think Ayala is clearly a national title contender here this year. I think, if Davis beats him, then I think you can definitively say Braden Davis is in the national title conversation there at 133.
Question, Coach.
Yep.
How many Pennsylvania kids are on Iowa now? Has that slowed down?
Yeah, I'm trying in the starting lineup. Not sure they have a Pennsylvania kid. In the
it used to be 5, right? It used to be half the roster was Penn State or Pennsylvania.
Yeah. The Kyle Park O'Shane Van Ness bout, I think, is going to be phenomenal.
Yep.
And I think will be very entertaining. regardless of what the score ends up being. I think both are going to look to put points on the board. The one that I'm probably the most intrigued about is the KSAC teamer bout, because I really think Tyler is maybe the guy to beat. That they're at 157. I mean, he's certainly, in my mind, a clear national title contender. Obviously, Ja'Cory Teamer, ranked number 1 in the country, is a contender. Teamer looked really good for his first match back. I was really impressed with him against Ohio State, and just his movement and his overall, his conditioning didn't appear to be a problem at all in that one. Now, KSAC brings a different type of pressure, and he's going to test conditioning in a little different way. I think that has the potential to be just 7-point moves either way at any point over the course of the 7 minutes. And so I think that one will keep fans on the edge of their seats as well, because of, again, just at any moment, either of those guys capable of taking the other to his back. And I think they're both going to be looking for big points in that one. And I think both have a tremendous amount of confidence right now in themselves, and believe that they're going to go win a national title. And I don't think that'll change regardless of what the outcome is here on Friday night. But I think that one I may be looking forward to even more than 197. Debatable there, because 197 I think has a chance to also just be wildly entertaining. Stephen Buchanan is ranked number 1. I think Josh Barr is just a phenom and just keeps getting better and better. He is
my guy, Ironhead.
A really savvy wrestler, and I mean, Buchanan obviously is as well. I do think Buchanan has taken another jump in his level since joining the Iowa program. But again, Josh Barr, I think, is the next in the line of ones that, when his career is over, fans will be talking about it for a long time. David Taylor, Jason Nolf, Bo Nickel type. Like, that's the style of wrestling, the energy level that he brings. And I just think, again, regardless of the outcome, it'll be a good match for him to get. I think this is where Josh Barr, I think both Tyler Kasak and Josh Barr tomorrow night are going to give notice, and it's not like they're both just completely flying under the radar. There's a lot of people nationally that are like, yeah, I think these guys could win national titles. If they both go out and win tomorrow night, and I think that's a real possibility, then again, I guess even more of a coming out party for nationally. Both of them here.
Where's Barr from?
Michigan.
Yeah, I wanted to like him.
So again,
I'll be all right.
It'll be a good dual meet, and obviously 184 will get the place buzzing and everybody talking when it's all said and done.
If I had to ask
tomorrow night,
what does Strachey do that makes him so good?
Well,
like some guys would be like all over you, pressing.
Yeah, what separates him to me is actually not any move. I mean, his top ability is second to none right now. So if he wants to ride you and he has decided he's not letting you up, I'm not sure there's anybody that is going to get an escape at this stage of his career. He is that good on top. But what really, to me, separates him is just that competitive edge. It's a mental thing where if I need the escape, if I need to ride this guy for a minute, if I need to get the takedown in the next 10 seconds, he's just going to will himself to do it. Like there's just a different competitive fire, a different competitive edge to him. Even from, again, this sport is filled with highly motivated, big-time competitors. Even in a sport like this, and even on a roster like Penn State's, Carter just has a little different competitive gear to him than just about anybody I've seen out there. If Penn State has the match in hand by 184, will Iowa's Nelson Brands wrestle? I mean, I'm not going to say no chance. I really don't think so. I think if they don't wrestle Gable, my understanding is, and I'm pretty sure I'm right about this, there's still 2 opportunities here for Ferrari to wrestle and retain his red shirt this year. So if they're not wrestling, even if the duel meets out of hand, if they decide, hey, we want to, leave the Gable opportunity here for the postseason, don't want to expose anything, that Penn State can see firsthand until the Big Ten tournament. To me, you'd wrestle Ferrari. I can't see what the purpose would be behind wrestling Nelson Brands. I think you still want to go out and try to get the W in the individual match and still try to keep your confidence up in terms of the competitiveness within your team moving forward. So I'll never say never on any of that stuff, but I would be shocked. I really would be shocked if Brands was the one that took the mat at 184. I think it'll be Gabe Arnold. I think they want to go put their best team out there, and I think Arnold right now is that guy. Now maybe they see something in the matchup, and again, I've watched Ferrari, but I don't know enough about. Maybe they think, hey, if we think he could catch him here, and kind of like when Penn State put Kassar out against Colin Moore, hey, we just think there's a better matchup here. Maybe you do that, but I think you want to give Gabe Arnold the chance here to get that feel. And again, regardless of outcome, all right, this is the adjustments now that we want to make heading into the postseason. So I would think you just want to wrestle your guy, and this year your guy there at 184 for Iowa is Gabe Arnold. So I just think that's who you go with. But we'll all find out together.
Yeah.
We'll take a break here. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the Pro Bowl and Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's heading to the Pro Bowl quarterback. We'll kick it around a little bit as we continue. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show coming to you from Quaker Steak and Lube right here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fall.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates, Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
WFXX, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7, the Fox State College, the Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back. I'll tell you, Goon, we were talking about during the break, the tragedy down in our nation's capital with the commercial flight and the Army helicopter crash, and now we know 14 people associated with USA figure skating were on the flight and perished. And listen, your heart would be heavy regardless, but this is a sports talk show. Having any sports community, and you're right, it does tell you how overall safe travel is when you think, the Marshall football team. I mean, we've had obviously some tragedies over the
Oklahoma
history of
State basketball.
Yeah. But man, to see.
Yeah, well, my comment was the amount of teams that fly around the country on a daily basis. I mean, between football, basketball, baseball, hockey, men's, women's, I mean, just soccer in Europe and South America, all these teams traveling around the world. And the fact that it's only ever happened a couple times is just tells you how safe that air travel really, really is.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, I'm watching Tanya Harding up here. I mean, she was I'm sorry, geez, Louise. Yeah, that's a Freudian slip there. Yeah, so it's just your heart just goes out to them because they lost 6 people that were members of her club and up in the Boston, and it's just I don't care. You're a human being. It's a horrible thing to see, and to see what went on there. And I was watching a lot of it this morning. I didn't watch much sports this morning, so so they were saying the Potomac is so. It's iced over, and it's murky that the divers can't see within a foot of their hand.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? You're searching for bodies, and they're just like they pop up. I mean, it's traumatizing. And they're just, I know they have cameras down there and all that. My God, everybody involved with that. Your heart is just broken for everyone involved. The people that are having to go and they're working and all that. And if it could have been averted, I hope it wasn't, I hope it was just truly an accident. Oh man, but it's very sad to watch that, and then you just see that people are involved in it, and then you sort of put they're human beings. You see a number of 67 dead. Okay, all right, 67 people died. Okay, and then you see that 14 were part of the. It's just it sort of puts a face to it.
So many people within one community, an entire team, or in this case, again, 14 people involved with a particular sport. It just is. It's crushing. I mean, it's like soul crushing.
If I recall, Jeff, wasn't there an incident back in the 50s or 60s where figure skating lost a lot of people in a plane crash? I'll look that up, but I'm pretty sure.
You may be right. I'm not familiar with
that.
that.
Yeah. But I think back in the day there was another incident with a figure skating, the USA figure skating, and they lost a bunch of people in a plane crash. I think. Don't quote me, but man, I just see a face now too. Instead of just seeing the number 67 deceased, now you see a face. It'll be a Nancy Kerrigan.
Well, and a lot of the again, you're talking about young people with very bright futures, and it's hard to comprehend the devastation and the impact, obviously, on the families, but just on that sport, on that community. And it'll be a very, very long time till you can kind of truly move on from something as tragic and as unexpected.
I remember watching that We Are Marshall, and I remember it wasn't a great film because it was I think it was poorly, I don't know, 70s movies are pretty bad when they try to mimic the 70s. I don't know what I'm talking about. The clothing and stuff like that just didn't mesh. But the story behind that whole We Are Marshall thing is just unbelievable. Having been a college football player, having been a college football coach, and just the gravity of it, the whole thing about it is just amazing and scary. And again, like I said, there's now sort of a face to this tragedy. Yeah, I mean, it's the only word you can say.
A couple of things, completely changing topics now, but the Pro Bowl. It was funny. I was watching a little bit. It just had on the background the Pat McAfee show as I was working on some other things, and had J.J. Watt on talking about the Pro Bowl. And he's like, what are we doing? This is like just the participation bowl now. We're down to when Russell Wilson, and it's nothing against Russell Wilson, but Russell Wilson this season has no business being in a Pro Bowl or anything glorified. Again, it was fine. It wasn't an awful, but I mean, come on. And that was J.J. Watt's point. When we're going to the 5th or 6th alternates, because the true Pro Bowlers have no interest in going down and being part of this. And I understand it. And yes, me personally, listen, I can't even tell you the last time when the Pro Bowl, when there was actually a Pro Bowl. Like, we keep calling this Pro Bowl. It's not Pro Bowl. It's Pro Games.
Pro Bowl games.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
I really don't remember the last time. It has been a long time since I watched even a little bit of the Pro Bowl. Like, I just have zero interest.
It got so bad.
Yeah. And so they got rid of it. And now I understand. Listen, it's a moneymaker for the NFL, so I don't think it's going away. But I do wonder what value there really is. And maybe, listen, there's a lot of stuff. Like, I do not understand. Maybe the young people are tuning in. I don't know what the numbers show. Maybe it's like, yep, these games are fun. They're keeping young people engaged. And if so, good on you. Again, I'm not the target group here, probably almost certainly for this. And if it is achieving its objectives there, good on the NFL.
Yep.
Good job keeping young people tuned in. And listen, there's a lot of things I don't understand for the life of me. And I do understand that there is legitimately big money involved. I still just cannot imagine somebody sitting down and watching other people play video games. And like, I understand playing video games.
I'm with you.
Sitting and watching other people, like, to me, that's the same as, man, I want to watch this person watch a movie. And you put the camera on that person watching the movie. And, oh, they look scared there. Oh, this one really got tugged at the heartstrings. They're crying. Like, I don't understand what the appeal is there.
Does Reggie do that?
He will. I think we're going to head down that path.
My wife is
we're going to limit it, but it's
used to watch guys.
Yeah, he isn't doing that per se, but we yeah, we watch a lot of the content creators, and now to me that's a little different than again, watching somebody play a game. I don't, man. I understand the hypocrisy there. Well, Ironhead, what are you doing when you're watching football games? You're watching those guys play games. I get it. I mean, as far as it goes, I get it. But I just can't understand the whole watching somebody play video games. But again, to each their own. I don't begrudge anybody the opportunity. If that's how you want to spend your time, go for it. And again, I spend a lot of time watching wrestling and baseball and football and all of that. So we all get to choose how we spend our time, and we will put value on it for our own, what we get out of it, and that's all cool. We have somebody checking in. 1961, the entire U.S. national team lost their lives in a plane crash en route to the World Championships in Prague, Czechoslovakia.
So figure skating, right? It was U.S. figure skating, I believe.
I'm assuming that's right. Somebody else has above that. Brennan wrote in and said USA skiing.
Oh,
so now I don't know.
Okay. I do recall back in
Crypto writes in about he says yes. Thank you for clarifying. I'm like, well, he followed up the USA skiing. So it was the skiing team apparently in 1961. Actually, now that you're saying that, that is
hard.
I do remember reading about that at some point in the history books. Okay.
I thought there was a Paris figure skating team, a husband and wife or something like that, who passed away, but it is what it is. And it's just tragedy is right. So my Pro Bowl story.
Yeah.
And you remember back, you're saying, I remember watching the last in the Pro Bowl, because it really never meant anything to a lot of guys. And remember they had it like a week after the Super Bowl, and then like, oh, no one wants to play in it, so we'll have it the week in between the Super Bowl, the week before the Super Bowl, and all that stuff. They've tried everything.
Yeah.
And if you think about this, the NFL is really, really, really trying to push this USA flag football stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist, maybe I'm this and that, but it's a way for them to make some money. Because you can't play football. Like, you can't just walk to a park and throw, 25 kids helmets and shoulder pads and say, let's play football. You can play flag football, and it's very cheap to do that. So I understand why USA flag football in the NFL is getting behind that, and I get it. But to have your NFL players running around playing flag football and then your skills competition.
You can play tackle football, just not with all of the necessary
you're not
equipment.
good.
I mean, we did pickup games all the time.
Oh, my God. It was great, dude.
Without any helmets, pads, or anything.
But you know what really hurt then? Once you started and learned how to play real football with a helmet and shoulder pads, you could not go back and play football. I know enough people.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if your history of any in rugby or anything like that, but I know multiple guys who left the football field and went to rugby, and they're leading with that. That's what we were taught. See what you hit. Where in rugby, it's grip, and bring down and stuff like that. And I know more than enough people who have gone to the hospital with concussions and some kind of skull break or nose break or facial wounds because, like I said, growing up, we played football in the fall every day. And after school, we'd go out and across the street from the church and we would play, football, and Nerf football, by the way. I just saw a great special last week on the Nerf football and the history of it. It was awesome. But we were playing Nerf football, but again, once you learn how to play football for real, it was like we can't do this. I don't think we could do that because you're taught a whole different thing than playing. But we played all the time growing up, and it was a lot like rugby. It was grip, rip, and pull down and stuff like that.
Right.
And what else sports did you play? I mean, I know that you didn't have what we used to love, street hockey.
Yeah, we there was some of that here and there. I never got. We had a few kids in the neighborhood that did more of it, certainly than I did.
Yep.
And I pretty much participated in everything. Yeah. But we had a few that would go down. Even there was a pond a little ways down, and I played once or twice there. I feel
With
like there
skates
were,
or-
yeah.
Oh.
I feel like there were some kids that played a little more often. Well, I don't know if we might have just been scooting around on sneakers.
That's what we did.
Yeah, I don't remember. Now that you say that, I don't remember that. I did have skates. I
did you really?
Yeah, I don't really remember now. Yeah, because we'd go out to Whipple and just
Yeah. So we played street hockey. Obviously, the big thing in Philadelphia growing up with was the Flyers in the mid 70s, and that was you didn't really have that here.
No, we did not. We had the lowly Penguins, and there was not a lot of lot of NHL love when I was
no. So we definitely had a lot of street hockey back in the day, and then it was always fun. My little brother Puppy, he got put in the net all the time. The short little fat kid always got put in the net.
Well, the funny thing was pickup wise, like wiffle ball was big in our neighborhood. Football, like tackle football, but we'd go out and just play hours on end. But those were probably the two biggest, like the most consistent. But we did a lot of riding bikes throughout the neighborhood too, and basketball. Basketball was always big. No matter what you were, you might be wrestling or you might not do any winter sport. In the neighborhood, we would crash into the basketball courts all the time. Basketball courts being driveways is mostly where we would play. So those were probably the most consistent. We had one of the best things.
Did you play tennis ball though, with like the wiffle ball bat stuffed up with the tennis ball? And
yeah,
that was the best.
We did the one winter storm. So sled riding was big too. Got a lot more snow, I think, when we were kids, at least in this area. And
yes,
we would do the one day it was like icy, and so the cars were not out, and we had a big neighborhood, a ton of kids, and I don't remember. In my mind, I want to say it was like 10 kids. It might have been 3. I don't know that were lined up along the street, but we had sleds set up and we were going down the streets, and like it was we were in the Lamont area up behind the Methodist church, and so you could, it was, I don't want to exaggerate, but it was probably a good 3/4 mile ride by the time you finished this up, because we would start
Sledding?
at the top of the hill, come down and then make a right-hand turn. This is all on the street, so we did have people making sure cars weren't coming down and we were going to fly out in front. We were at least smart enough to do that.
Wow!
But you'd come flying down, and just the first hill part, and then you take a right-hand turn, and that's where it was a long hill that crossed over 3 streets, and then you'd go into a yard, and then it would end up down near a creek before you're all set.
How long was the walk back up?
Oh, forever. You did this like once or twice. Again, we had.
Oh Lord!
I think we probably had 20 kids. So a couple of kids would do it, and then a couple of kids. It was not like this wasn't. All right, you go back up, and we're going to come right back down. Over the course of the day, maybe you got 2 or 3 rides individually.
It's funny you say church because you said it was a Methodist church over there, and then it's funny. We have
our churchyard is.
We had the Lutheran church there. We had a Presbyterian church down the other side of the town, and they always had great hills. What is it about freaking churches of the hills?
Well, no, our churchyard was just that's where. We played the football, the wiffle ball, and tag, and whatever other games we could invent, and those. Good times.
They were, man. There's the stuff you'll never forget.
I do like I wish we would have more of just the pickup games around the area today. A lot of organized sports, and there's something to be said for organized sports. And we had listen, we wrestled and we had basketball over the winter. We didn't have football. Football wasn't offered until junior high, 7th grade, when at least around here when I was a kid. So we didn't have the I mean, everybody played football, but it was just pickup games around.
And that's weird. As big of a football community as State College is. I mean, it wasn't
but we would do soccer. 50s. We organized. I'm talking about now. We do soccer, baseball, football, wrestling. Those were the ones I did anyway.
And it was the core. I mean, there's a lot of people that came out of this area as athletes, and the same thing where I grew up. A lot of dudes went on and play collegiate athletics, professional athletics, and that goes back to, I never played soccer in my life, but I never watched a game in my life. But in third grade, there was Springfield midget soccer. So we would go play Springfield midget soccer, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I learned how to play. And honestly, your parents were happy because you were out, you were getting fresh air, you were exercising, you were getting conditioned. And, personally, I mean, as a bigger, larger kid, the more athletic you could be, the better, especially a person my size. So, the bitty basketball was the same age. It was third grade on, and, that's every Saturday in the wintertime. You're walking over and you're playing basketball. And then, I was not allowed to play football because I was too heavy until 7th grade when they released it was okay because of my older brother, Buck. My parents were furious. The Orland Mustangs, they had my older brother, Buck, the one who played here, he was a heavier kid than I was. But he was in 3rd grade playing against 7th graders because of his weight. And my parents were like, this is stupid. He's not learning how to play the game. And then during the week, he had to run around and practice with a trash bag on to lose weight. And you're like, this is not. So my mom and dad would not let us play football until 8th grade. And that was a good thing. But, but the street hockey thing in the middle of the street, but we also had the Orland courts downtown. And that's where we played the pickup basketball every day, all the time. And then in the wintertime, and then we would play street hockey and stuff like that. But the Orland courts had a great summer league basketball. I mean, from 10 and under to 50 and over. There was always basketball games at this courts, and it was awesome. Guys from around this, a lot of guys played at the Orland courts growing up, and that was our hometown, our home base. So everything. We were always doing sports, always. And I do remember, it's just like it was yesterday. My parents, in 1984 or 5, my parents would drive by the church, and we were all out playing football, and then my dad would drive by on the way up here, and they were I just remember it was a pit game, and I remember being a little kid going, beep on pit, you know what I mean? It's just funny because I was in 4th grade, and we're all sitting there and we're all cheering my mom and dad going up there, and everybody was all Penn State fans because of my brother and all that stuff. So just funny stuff to remember.
Oh yeah. Great.
So this special was on the NFL Network. The guy who created Nerf football was a former kicker from the Minnesota Vikings. He played 15 years in the NFL. And he created this thing to play in the house type of thing.
Yep.
To learn how to kick and this and that. And then I'm just watching, and everybody's holding it. John Gruden's holding it, some players, and they're just laughing at him. How many times they played with this type of thing. And it was just and the guy gets, they thought it was a fad, and they gave guy a lifetime benefits or lifetime whatever royalties for every ball or product that they sell. So this guy's the shelf life of a new toy is 3 years, and it's okay, then it's run its course and something else comes in. He's I still get checks. And all I kept on thinking about was, and they did bring it up, and I laughed. But how did you guys do, when you got into football, you put it in water, you submerge it in water at first, right? You got it waterlogged and let it harden up. Remember that?
Yeah.
Did you guys do that too?
Oh, yeah.
And then the second part about a Nerf football, I don't have to say, you probably understand what I'm saying, but they talked about it, and every family pet feasted on Nerf balls. Yeah. I mean, they loved them.
Yeah.
I don't know how many Nerf soccer balls, footballs, everything my dogs had eaten back in the day. And it was you had a Nerf football for a day, and it was you look over and my dog Reggie's and I'm come on, Reg, it's just funny, man.
Yeah.
But that this thing was talking about it, how they could throw it, and then it was even for smaller kids' hands, they could spiral the ball, and you feel like an NFL quarterback type of thing. And then they brought up the dog thing, and I was laughing. I was like, that's a great piece right there. They hit every little thing about the Nerf thing.
Yeah. No, those were.
I do remember soaking them. I mean, you had to get them little cuts in there to get it completely waterlogged, and then you got to let it dry out, and then it was a really hard, firm, and it spiraled much easier.
Yeah. Yep.
And then they were showing these guns that they have now, the Nerf guns, and it's like shooting the 700 bullets, and you're like, oh, this has come from a Nerf football to this thing.
Well, and yeah, that and the wiffle ball bats, and taping them up, and then taping the wiffle balls themselves.
Do you remember the wiffle ball? Who was the sponsor? Do you remember? It was a baseball player.
Well, Spalding is what what do you mean? The company?
There was a Mike Scott from the Houston Astros. Big fastball pitcher back in the early 80s. But he was the guy on the wiffle ball package. And he was the guy who endorsed it and stuff like that. So, but the wiffle ball bat and the wiffle ball. But then it's always funny because I was going to bring it up about the Nerf. How many knockoffs were out there?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the wiffle ball, there was all kinds of knockoffs, but they were never the same.
Yeah.
What you could do with a wiffle ball. And we had a real nice field in our backyard. We had guys coming up there all the time. We were playing, honest to God, we played wiffle ball through college. We loved it that much back in the day.
Yeah, no, it was.
I had a great slider, dude. You were a lefty, you weren't touching it. Absolutely not touching it. I started about 8 foot out here to just cut right in your hands, baby.
Gotta get a little movement.
And then my little brother was a real good left-handed batter. He learned step into it, knock the crap out of it. So yeah, that's when I figured out my baseball career was over. When my 10-year-old brother's taking me yard in the wiffle ball field. There's a little walk down memory lane there, buddy.
Indeed. All right, let's take a break here, and we'll come back to the present. When we return, it is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube on a Thursday afternoon.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox. The Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back here on a Thursday. Again, you can come on down and enjoy great food, great beverages, outstanding service, and watch some sports.
I had a
There's
gyro
a
today.
lot of sports coming up.
I had a nice gyro today, Ironhead. For
Did
lunch.
you?
Yeah,
Nicely done.
good get 'em.
I went back to my steak salad.
You did.
today.
You did.
Been
You
working on it
get the
throughout
tenders down
show.
faster, though.
Yeah, I do get the tenders down faster. It's a big salad.
It's the
do
best
love
salad.
it. Again, we are thrilled that Quaker Steak and Lube allows us to call this place our home away from home for the show on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons.
Yeah, buddy.
All
So what's
right.
the Ironheads Day tomorrow? I need Penn State Iowa Ironhead Day. I mean, you're gonna do your morning show, right? As normal or no?
Yeah, actually, we have G.T. Thompson, Congressman Glenn
Oh, wow.
Thompson will be on the program right out of the gate tomorrow. He's supposed to be on today, having nothing to do. We have to keep mentioning that because as soon as you say you got travel delay coming back from Washington, it was earlier in the day. It was just the wind-related travel delay. So,
wow.
But yeah, so now scheduled to have him on tomorrow morning, which we'll have a few things to talk about with all that is happening these days with our federal government. So we'll discuss that with him tomorrow morning. After the show, this is where things get a little tricky. I'll have, I will say, this is I think this is actually, Iowa Week is always, I get asked to do different interviews, podcasts, whatever. And I think I've had more this week. I'm pretty confident on this than I've ever had. I think all total, I think there will be 6 different, aside from our normal, my normal daily routine and those shows, 6 different discussions, on record discussions about the Penn State Iowa meet coming up here on Friday night. And I'll be doing another one with some folks out in Iowa on Saturday afternoon. So recapping it a little bit and just kind of talking about the Penn State team and kind of what we're seeing out of them. So anyways, but Friday, really, it'll be, I'll be going over the notes and everything. I'll carve out probably a couple of hours over lunchtime. I'll eat and just kind of make sure
what do you need to know?
Where I want to be with
names, hometowns, records, type of thing.
Yeah,
rankings.
I mean, I have little. I think most people know now. I have little. I do a note card on each weight, just with updated little stats, all of the relevant information, obviously hometowns and records and all of that stuff. But then just little notes on different guys. I'll probably go back and watch a few matches here and there, just so I kind of have fresh in my mind what some of the more from the Iowa side. Hey, yeah, that's right. This guy has a big time blast double, or yeah, he's really good with spiral ride or whatever it may be. So I'll spend a little bit of time doing that, and then really we end up. So my kiddo, the Mad Turtle, has gotten into wrestling this year. Is doing his first
Pine Box
organized wrestling. Pinewood Derby was good. We had let's see, 53 and 13. We had, I think I called 66 races, heats over the course of the night. Good time was had by all. The Mad Turtle, I think actually, so they announce and give prizes for the top 3 in each den, and then top 3 overall.
Yep.
Mad Turtle, I believe, was 4th by like 0.01 seconds or whatever in his den.
All
so
right.
we're disappointed. We beat him, just so we're clear. We
Gotcha.
are not caught up in whether or not he's top
That's
3.
good, though. That's awesome.
So yes,
Sorry,
it was a very
did forget
good
to
time.
ask.
But we have our end of the year tournament coming up at Moshannon Valley on Saturday, and so weigh-ins for it are actually on Friday, which is interesting. I think from 4 to 6. So we're going to go right at 4, and then the Mad Turtle and the misses are going to the meet tomorrow as well. So we'll probably head up and just try to get settled in a little early at the Jordan Center. Then
I don't hear a
night.
pregame meal for the head. What's going on there?
You know, it's so we'll get dinner up there. The Mad Turtle likes getting his meal there, so we usually hold off. I'll probably eat a little bit of a later lunch and then just kind of grab something more snackish up there, and then I'll eat something once we get back home tomorrow night after the meet. But the fun thing for me about the Jordan Center meets is the Mad Turtle is not prefers to not be in huge crowds. And when you're at the Jordan Center, so at the Jordan Center, they're able to come in the booth with me. We basically, that front row is just me in the broadcast booth. And so they have the opportunity to sit. Yeah, where Jones does his basketball, him and Girardi.
Yeah.
And so it is nice because he can truly enjoy it. I'm not going to say we go to various basketball games and stuff, and he's getting better at it. But crowds, I don't even know if he's aware. He just kind of shuts down, like it's just like a reflex thing. Yes, and so being in there and being with mom and dad, I think and only us that he can talks to me obviously during the commercial breaks and stuff. But it's a nice setup. We enjoy that. So get up there early, and he'll grab a full meal. I'll grab something to eat, a hot dog or whatever. And I don't really have a specific. You don't really do routine for me in terms of meal or hey, I have to get this done or that done on a particular day.
Wow, that would be. Same restaurant.
For a particular time on the day.
Yeah, you're all over the place. You're weighing in at 4 at the wrestling match, all that stuff.
Yeah, tomorrow's going to be I have a few things I've got to get done with our station here locally, trying to finish up some things. And so it'll be kind of catch as catch can throughout the day tomorrow. But looking forward to it. Should be a really, really fun, entertaining dual meet. I did have somebody ask me, and I did it again here today, but it was on an earlier interview. They were going through the big matches, and I'm like, well, I think, to me, there's 4 that really stand out. I think the potential for all of them to be really good, really entertaining, and there's usually going to be a surprise one way or the other somewhere along the way in the meet. But the 4 that, if everybody's healthy, that I think most people would circle as, hey, these are the must-watch. Ayala Davis at 33. Certainly Van Ness and Parco at 49. Kasak and Teamer at 57. And then Buchanan and Barr at 97. And I had – and it's a fair play. It's like, but isn't there only one versus 2 matchup? Like actually 1 versus 2? And I'm like, oh, yeah, and listen, that does have the potential. I've been impressed with Mikey Caliendo, and he has definitely, and he's been very good, but he's really, really good this year. Mitchell Messenbrick is just a different different cat. Now we'll see. I'm not saying Caliendo has no chance. I'm telling you that it is really hard to keep at Mess and Brink's pace for 7 minutes. And I just don't know that anybody this year can do it. Now, if there is anybody that can do it, I would say Caliendo, like, that's the only guy that I give any shot of doing. So it's a fair point. It's the only matchup that is actually number 1 versus number 2, aside from the overall dual meet. Penn State 1 and Iowa 2. Now, to me, like 57, Teamer Kasak has the feel of 1-2. It's 1-3, and I think, again, in my mind right now, Kasak is number 1. And again, we'll see how it goes here tomorrow night. I think he'll have a chance to. Well, I know he has a chance to show it. I think he will show it. I think he has caught a different gear here and just has a really good understanding of what it is he's trying to do out there and the ability to do it. And I think much the same thing with Barr and Buchanan. I think there's a few other guys in the mix there at 97. Obviously, AJ Ferrari is in the mix there at 97. But I think Barr, in my mind, is kind of the guy to beat there too. But we're going to find out. Buchanan is certainly, again, a legit national title contender.
Iowa's heavyweights getting better, right?
Yeah. Listen, Keeter is so. The thing there, it is really hard. Like, there was a time, and I don't know necessarily that it was easier, but I think you had more guys at heavyweight, and really in wrestling in general, who were not like all in year round doing everything with wrestling. And so you had, when I was growing up, it wasn't uncommon. I'm not going to say it was the norm, but it was not uncommon to have football players. Steve Sefter played football and then wrestled at Penn State and did very well in both. And there were a lot of guys that did that. Again, I'm not going to say it was the norm because it wasn't, but it wasn't uncommon. It is pretty uncommon now that you see. I think the last Penn Stater that really did it was Troxel. And
did Bolinski after him? Did he? I don't think he ever got in the match.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and they've had some others. But yeah, that's right.
Was he wrestling big time though?
No, I don't think. Not he was not the starter for sure. So Keeter, I think, zeroing in now on wrestling obviously helps, and he is a phenomenal athlete. I mean, he really is. And I do think he has taken a significant stride with his game. I also think Greg Kirkfleet is just in a different element. Now, that's not to say that bout couldn't be very close, because it could be. I think Greg's been, fighting off some illness here. And so if Greg is got a full throttle, I think it'd be very difficult for Keeter to pull out the win. Now, can he keep it to a decision, maybe even within a takedown? Yeah, I think that's possible. I also think it's possible Greg can open it up here. So, and really, I mean, you could say that, like, Patrick Kennedy is a really good wrestler. And I don't think it's a given, an automatic that, hey, Levi's just going to go out and win. Levi wrestling the way he is right now, again, I think the only guy that's right there with him is Keegan O'Toole, who is right now ranked number 1, 2-time national champion, and handed Haynes his only loss on the season. But again, could Levi have an off night? Could Kennedy have, a night where he's just on, gets a big... In wrestling, again, anybody, you can always get caught. Like, Penn State wrestlers very rarely do it, so you kind of, it's not going to it can, though. I mean, like, and Kennedy is certainly a dangerous enough wrestler, and up and down the lineup. You can say it about it anyway. Like, could somebody get caught going in on a move and the Iowa kid catches him? Yes, up and down the lineup, is that a possibility? Yes, because it's wrestling, and that can always happen. And if you get such a result, and Iowa wins all of the close ones, all of a sudden you have yourself a real dogfight, and this is a dual meet that can go either way. Now, if Penn State goes out and racks up the bonus points in the matches where it's heavily favored and wins a couple of the toss-up matches or 3 of the 4, then all of a sudden you get a very lopsided score going the other way. And I think both are within the realm of possibility. The way this Penn State team is wrestling and the way this program consistently steps up in the big moments, again, from the Penn State side, it would be hard to not be very confident in what it can do tomorrow night. But, Iowa's dangerous and certainly, again, has a bunch of wrestlers here that can certainly hold their own against the Nittany Lions tomorrow night. That's what makes the dual meet so intriguing and so much fun. And I think it's going to be very entertaining. I really do. I don't know how many points will go on the board in some of these bouts, but the potential is there for a lot. And even if we don't get the big points, I think you're going to see a lot of action. I think if you don't get points, it's because, man, it was good shot, reshot, counter shot. Like it's not going to be because 2 guys just, and you may have some of that too, where 2 guys are just locked up. But I think you're going to see a lot, especially in those 4 matches that we've been talking about. I think you're going to see a lot of action and potentially a lot of points in those bouts.
Awesome, man.
Which for the sport would be a really good thing, obviously.
Big Ten?
Yes, Big Ten Network. 7 o'clock.
Any talk of any time going live national with any of these dual meets? Or just the Big Ten going to lock it down? I mean, like tonight's basketball game's on FS1. I know that ESPN has the finals.
Yeah.
Nationals, excuse me. But, is there any talk of any of these bouts going to a national, ABC, NBC, ESPN, FS1 type of thing, Fox?
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. They have had some talk about ESPN picking up some matches here in the future, like trying to create some of these opportunities, as you said, to kind of grow the sport. Now, that being said, the Big Ten Network is they do a really they really do. They do a really nice job with it, and now they get in, especially. I understand there's still pockets where the Big Ten Network is not seen, but between the apps and then just now the network is in, I don't know what the number is, but it is a substantial portion of the country now that the Big Ten Network is accessible.
I've always wondered, and I know I don't know the answer to this. You don't have to answer it, but I've always wondered why, like, Kale's never been a guest picker for ESPN game days. And I don't know. It could be him saying no.
I strongly suspect that is the case.
He just doesn't like to do that type of stuff.
Yeah, I think his preference would be, his strong preference would be, and if you remember that, I don't think they were guest pickers, but they had, was it the Big? For some reason I was thinking it wasn't the Big Ten Network, but now as I'm thinking about it, but they had like Messenbrink and Bartlett on the pregame show that when you're not guest pickers, but they did
ESPN
a
or it could be Fox.
That's what I'm trying to it might have even been the Big Ten Network. In my mind, I feel like it was either ESPN or Fox, but I could be wrong. I'm not. Originally, I was going to say it was definitely
ESPN,
one of the networks, but it might have
when
been
they
Big
do
Ten.
game day, they have stuff Friday afternoons too. So they may have been on one of those type of shows. Because I don't. Well, then again, I don't really watch the game day because we're in a tailgate. But I often wondered that. I mean, why have we had some guys 3 or 4 times? It's like you get the number one coach and possibly the number one greatest wrestler in the history of the sport right here. Why is he not talking? But It's par for the course with him. I mean, that's just his thing. And
I think he would much. I know he would much rather have like
his guys
Levi
out there,
Hayes
yeah,
or Carter Starachi, Aaron Brooks, whatever, out there.
That's not big enough to put them on as pickers, I would think.
Yeah, I don't know because
Starachi's going for the all-time record.
Well, yeah, I mean, to me, and I would have thought last year, like David Taylor. I mean, you're talking about Olympic gold combined with, and I get college wrestling isn't as big of a draw as basketball or some of the, but I mean, David Taylor's a pretty big name out there, and I don't think, to me, that like Taylor, Brooks, Starachi, like those are big enough names because
I mean, Nickel's in the MMA now too, so he may.
Well, Nickel would be a great selection as well. To me, any of those guys, there's enough clout there, enough national recognition because they've gone beyond the sport even in terms of international competition, and I think have might not be household names all over the country, but there's enough recognition.
Sure.
Kind of like Steven Nedorosik with gymnastics now, who he would be a great pick next year.
I watched that. Being wife and her friends, they had a thing we watched it every night, every Tuesday. I think it was
the Dancing with the Stars.
I ended up watching it and all that stuff, and I actually coined a phrase that they find funny. They're saying he's adorable but so dorky. So I said, he's adorkable.
He is adorkable. I like
it. It stuck.
I think he would like that.
He's adorkable. He could probably brand that. He
embraces it. Yep.
And they actually came up here last week. Some of the girls went to go see the Dance with the Stars routine.
Yep.
So.
Yep, I saw that.
You guys no wrestling Sunday, right? No, there's no. It's just a one and done this weekend.
Correct. And then the next couple of weekends, it's been pretty much just one match weekends this season, but the next 2 weekends, the next weekend they'll have Michigan at the Jordan Center Friday night and then Maryland on Sunday.
Home?
Yeah, Rec Hall. And then the following weekend they'll be at Ohio State Friday night and at Illinois that Sunday. So those will be the two match weekends for the Nittany Lions this season. And then they have American University at Rec Hall that following Friday night. And then voila, we're into the postseason.
So who would American got that? Who got that phone call?
I think
there's somebody at American that has a tie to Penn State. Like, hey, you want to wrestle us?
I think anybody is happy to get the opportunity.
Oh, I know. But how did American get the call? So, you figure maybe
they try to spread it around a bit. Yeah, they try to spread it around.
Now that match, if you don't mind me asking, I'm playing the stupid, the idiot routine here pretty well here because I am. Why that late? I know you're warming up, but are you going to wrestle your stars in that American match?
Yeah,
you are.
Oh yeah.
Stay warm for it because there's a week off between.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, trying to give maybe a little extra confidence boost going into the postseason. Trying to give a team out there again a pretty neat opportunity experience in Rec Hall. So it's a little bit twofold. Yeah, you're wanting to get that, but Penn State historically under Kale, they will wrestle their 10 best guys regardless of when, who, where in the season. There are exceptions here and there, but pretty few and far between. Generally speaking, if you're healthy and you're the starter, you're going. That's
because there was a 2-week layoff between the last match and the Big Tens, right?
Yeah,
pretty much.
Also, just because that's their starting lineup, and if they're wrestling, they're going to put out their starting lineup, regardless of again when, where, who it is. It's like, these are our starters. If we're wrestling a dual meet, we're wrestling our starters.
We don't have much time. But what's the beef with the dual meet with Kale and David? One agrees, one doesn't agree with the dual team titles.
Yeah, I think we can maybe get into it a little more next week. I like the idea. So personally, I like the idea of having a big early season event, and whether you call it the national duels, and I think that's a little bit of where the hang up is we. There is a movement in college wrestling that the duels should be the championship. Like that's how we should decide the real national champion, because dual meets, the argument goes, Americans are team sport fans, and the dual meets are the team competitions, and that's where the national title really should be decided. The argument, and I think it's a strong argument against that, is that in a dual meet, I can send out my guy and, hey, just don't get majored here. Like, do everything you can to just keep this close. We know you're not winning, but man, just go wrestle to tie him down, slow him up, be as defensive. When you get to the national tournament, there is no benefit to you or your team keeping a match close. So you need to go wrestle. And so you get, again, the argument from the perspective of the national tournament the way it is the true arbiter and should remain such for determining the national champion.
I got you.
Because you're getting a truer indication of the wrestling ability of the guys. Again, I might be able to coach you into keeping a match close, but that's not the objective of the sport, of any sport, is, hey, let's go out there and keep this close. But in a dual meet, again, when we've seen dual meets decided, because, man, a guy's a heavy favorite, think we're going to get 5 or 6 points here in the team score with a tech fall or a fall. Oh, you're held to a decision. The other team gets a win in terms of the dual meet projections and ends up winning the duel. So the argument that I think Cale would make, and I would make too, is that a national title should be decided by everybody going out and trying their hardest to win a match, and then you see, all right, this is a true indication of the difference.
I get it.
So, and again, you can argue that either way. Strategy is part of sports and all of that from the dual meet perspective. I don't get as hung up on whether or not we call it a national championship. I like the dual meet format. And I think early in the season, having a marquee event, whatever we call it, is beneficial. That's going to wrap things up for today. We hope you have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Tuesday. Until then, be good and be
Coast
safe.
into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see ya in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
WFXX, once again.
The Fox, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7, The Fox, State College, the Goon and Ironhead.